Okay, fifth graders, today is Monday, March 9th, and we're doing Module 4, Lesson 17. We're continuing right along. Last week we learned how to multiply fractions with other fractions, and today we're going to be learning how to multiply decimals with fractions. Let's first talk about the problem of the day. Here we have some different expressions. Okay, let's take a look at the first one first. 0.1 times 4. That's one way to say it. What's another way to say it? 1/10. I could say it as 1/10. Okay, 1/10 times 4. Or 4 copies of 1/10. Do you guys agree? Now, when I say 1/10, isn't that the same? Couldn't I write that as, couldn't I erase, instead of writing it as words, couldn't I write it as a fraction? 1/10? Do you guys agree? Or I could write 4 copies of, instead of 1/10 using words, I could write it as a fraction. Right? So using that logic, down here, if I 2 times 0.1, that's the same as 2 times 1/10. Do you guys agree? Okay. What about 0.01 times 6? How could I rewrite that using fractions? Mira? Yeah, 1 over 100, because that's 100th, times 6. So what this is reminding us is that fractions and decimals can have the same value, or they do have the same value. It's just 2 different ways to express the same value. Do you guys agree? Give me a thumbs up if you agree with the statement, or a thumbs down if you disagree. Every fraction, we shouldn't have any thumbs up yet, right? Every fraction can also be written as a whole number. Thumbs up if you agree, thumbs down if you disagree. Okay, I see a lot of thumbs downs. Why do you disagree? Anurag, why do you disagree that every fraction can also be written as a whole number?
Because there's some fractions that are less than 1, so it can't be a whole number.
Yeah, there are some fractions that are less than 1, so it's not even a whole. And there's some fractions that are a whole number plus some more fraction. So it's a mixed number, okay? Get your thumbs ready. We're going to do another thumbs up if you agree, thumbs down if you disagree. There's no in between. Every fraction can also be written as a decimal. Think about it. Every fraction can also be written as a decimal. Talk to people around you. Why do you agree or disagree? So looking at these crazy examples, we have proven to ourselves that fractions and decimals are just 2 ways to express the same value. Any fraction, no matter how crazy that we make it up, could always be written as a decimal. A fraction is just a division equation, and the answer is oftentimes a decimal. The flip side is also true. Any decimal can also be written as a fraction. Make sense? Good. Here we're going to multiply 1/10 times 1/10. Okay, the directions tell us to write it as a fraction first and then solve. I did the fraction part for you. Do you guys agree that 1/10 times 1/10 is the same as 1 over 10 times 1 over 10?
Yeah.
Okay, write that down. We know that this means we're trying to find 1/10 of 1/10. So let me show you how we can use our picture, our handy-dandy rectangular fraction model. We know that this entire fraction model could be 1 whole. Okay, watch me first. I'm not going to make you draw a 10 by 10 square. Just watch me. If I wanted to show 1/10 of it, right, because we're finding 1/10, I would color in, actually, 1/10 of it. Do you guys agree that this is 1/10? Just like how we used to do it, right? There's 1/10. Remember Jan and her brownies? Imagine that Jan made 1/10 of a pan of brownies. But if she only sent 1/10 of those to school, I would have to cut it into tenths the other way, which is this much here. Do you guys agree? So then how many boxes would she actually send to school? 1. Out of a total of?
100.
Yeah. Okay, so we can see that 1/10 times 1/10 is the same as 1/10 times 1/10, which is 100th. How could I write the answer in decimal form? Well, it would be 100th. Okay. You don't have to draw the grids in your notebook, but please write down the numbers. Now let's take a look at this next example. We have 0.2 times 0.4. How can I write that using fractions? 0.2 is the same as 2/10. And then 0.4 is the same as? 4/10. So this is the same as 2/10 of 4/10. Do you guys agree? Because we know that the multiplication sign means of. right? So if we're trying to find 2/10 of 4/10 in my picture, once I know that this entire thing is equal to 1, should I show 2/10 first or 4/10 first? 4/10 first. Good, just like we used to do. So I'm going to show that 4/10. I've taken my 1 and I've split it up into tenths with these vertical lines, right? Do you guys see that? Okay, so I'm going to section off 4 of them. I'm going to show that this is 4/10. Now, do we want all 4 of those tenths? What fraction of the 4/10 do I want? I want 2/10 of it. So I have to split it into tenths going the horizontal way, which they've already done for me. But I only want 2 of them. Do you see how if I were to shade in the bottom part there, that would be 2/10? Right? So how many boxes are actually shaded in? 8. Out of a total of what?
100.
So the answer is 8/100, or in decimal form, 8/100. Now that you know that numbers can be written as decimals or as fractions, you might wonder, Miss Elle, how do I know like what I should write the answer in? You can always write it in both, or here's a simple rule. If the question is presented to you in decimal form, what form should you write the answer in?
Decimal form.
If the question is presented to you in fraction form, what form should you write the answer in?
Fraction.
Now, could we simplify 8/100? Yeah, that's the same as 4/50ths, or the same as 2/25ths, right? So if it's in fraction form, you would simplify it. If it's in decimal form, it's just 8/100. Does that make sense? Good. Here we have 3/10 times 1.6. Now, what's different about this problem?
We have a fraction and a decimal.
Okay, we have a fraction and a decimal. What else is different about this problem? Nadav?
The decimal has a whole number.
Yeah, it's a mixed number. So if I were to write 1.6 as a fraction, it would be 1 6/10, wouldn't it? Or another way is 16/10. Do you guys agree? So what I'm trying to find here is 3/10 of 16/10. So what should we show first on a rectangular fraction model? This is 1, and this is 1. What should we show first? 16/10. So I can show 16/10 by coloring in all 10 over here, right? And then how many more tenths do I have to color in over there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. And I'm going to, of course, label it. And I'm going to show that all of this is 1 6/10, or 16/10. Do I want all 16 of those tenths? What fraction of that 6/10 do I want?
3/10.
So here's 1/10 of those 16/10. Do you guys agree? Here's 2/10 of those 16/10. And here's 3/10 of those 16/10. How many boxes are there altogether? How many are on this side? 30. How many are on this side? 18, because 6 times 3. So how many boxes did I double shade in altogether?
48.
Okay, 48 over how many? It's not over 200, even though there are 200 boxes there, because remember, the denominator always tells you how many units is one whole split up into. How many units is one whole split up into? 100. So the answer is 48/100, or in decimal form, 48/100. I want to remind you that unit form is very important here. You need to know what 48/100 means. It means that it's 48 with the rightmost digit in the hundredths place. Okay.